Today on Fraser Martin's Driving Impressions, we're going to look at Ford's new Territory. So we've got the new Ford Territory in Waddichis. Now, the car isn't four-wheel drive, but we haven't done anything too clever and we've stayed on a nice, good gravel surface. It's very quiet inside. It doesn't make any rattling noises at all. The air conditioning is brilliant. And quite honestly, it's such a surprisingly comfortable drive. It's Ford's entry level in the compact SUV or crossover market. So it's fitting below the edge and above what would have been the old Figo or I think Fiesta. But it's a really nice car, a little Mazda-ish in my view, and certainly kind of Hyundai influence on the big wide grille. These are the side lights here. The headlights are actually low on the car. So there's that whole new style, new fashion going on. Quite of a shark nose to it, but pretty car. And nice bits of contrast work between the paint and the chrome and the silver and the black. Going on round the car, it's fairly conventional. It's got 4 doors. They're wide, they open widely, and they work quite nicely. There's lots of nice little styling cues, loads of space inside, and although it's only a 5-seater, it's the sort of thing that would work as a family car. Very comfortable inside, good knee room here, you can see from the bags and stuff. Bags of space, 3 seats in the back, 2 in the front. Really lovely soft touch trims. This is all really nice quality stuff. Really good and positive, nice sort of clunkiness to it. I do like this. This is really nice. Coming around the back of the car, we've got quite a bit of dust on it because of where we've been, but automatic opening boot. Plenty of baggage space, and as you can see, you would get prams and all sorts of things in here for kind of family day out. Automatic closing as well, plenty of warnings, flashing lights. It's a really sound thing. It's not particularly expensive. There's a 1.8 EcoBoost engine, there's a 7-speed twin-clutch automatic gearbox, and a little bit of a bugbear for me, electric power steering, which doesn't quite centre the way I would like it to, but that's a personal taste, and I think if you were buying one, then it's something that you would get used to. Jumping into a car for a day's drive is very much getting an impression of the car. One of the things that contributes to the quietness of the car is the excellent shut lines. There are absolutely no serious panel gaps or fluctuations at all. There's no creaking, there's no movement. It's very impressively finished. The whole thing is really nicely done. 1.8 EcoBoost, 7-speed twin-clutch automatic. It's kind of standard fare for a car of this size. It's very clean because it's new, and it's also quite quiet. And like all new cars, you're not really supposed to touch anything in here, so it's all covered in nice big pieces of black plastic so you don't get anywhere near it. All you need to know is that it works, and it works well. There's some really interesting things going on in this Ford Territory. There's a new school dashboard in which there aren't really any obvious binnacles and instruments, but there's an old school horn push, and that's where the confusion lies. I can find the horn even when I'm driving because I know it's going to be somewhere here, and by thumping it, it'll be okay. The problem with all of the rest of it is that I need to take my eyes off the road to go onto the screen to find anything that I need to adjust. Conventional indicators and lights and wipers are fine, and the usual offices are existing on the steering wheel. But to find anything else, you either have to stop the car or you're getting yourself into potential difficulties because having to move and find things. Touch screens are great if you can look at them and see where you're putting your fingers. Switches are better. We've got a rotary gear change, which I actually quite like. They've been in and out of fashion, but I do like them because you know exactly where you are with that. Handbrake is an electronic handbrake, and as I said, the steering is power steering. I have a problem with the centering of it. It just doesn't seem to want to stay absolutely level. It is almost as if it's constantly trying to find things, and it's an unfair criticism because I've only got the car for a day. And I think that if you were buying one of these cars, and there would be no reason not to, it's a fantastic package, lots of really cool and interesting stuff. You would get used to that. And I think that maybe my criticism is perhaps slightly unfounded. Lots of bells and whistles, apart from this magnificent dashboard, which I think you wouldn't find in anything other than a much higher end car, maybe something 4 times the price. But there's a charging plate for the telephone, there's a box for the cubby, there's a sliding tray, it doesn't have a cooler, there's loads and loads of extra space underneath the shifter and between the seats. There's a decent sized cubby box, and quite frankly, there's loads of space to put things. When I picked the car up yesterday, I was late, so the car had been sitting in the sun for about 4 hours, maybe 5 hours. So my welcome to the car was a burned finger because the start button is metal finish and it was absolutely red hot. I haven't done top speed or acceleration time. You can find these with Altair, the dealer, or you can find them on the Ford website. The impression that we have of this car is that it's a really good value for money proposition. At under 120,000 for this level of experience and this level of kit, it's a hard act to follow. There's some lovely soft feel materials here on all of these surfaces and round about here. Some really nice tactile movement on these air conditioning vents. And then the screen, which is massively wide, and this is the opening screen, so the home screen has vehicle settings, device management, lots of stuff. So just for example, we go to vehicle settings. We've now got 3 more things to look at, and if I just go vehicle safety, we've now got a rack of things to look and choose from. Now if any of that needs to be adjusted whilst we're on the move, then it becomes a real problem to do that. We've got touch screen for fans and for temperature adjustments and for seat adjustments. The problem with all of this is that it all requires movement of the hand and very careful locating of the switches. If you don't locate the switches properly, then something else is going to go on. The problem I have with that is that to do that, I need to take my eye off the road. Lots of really top-end equipment that you wouldn't expect on a car, which is supposed to be entry level. We've got some really nice roof lights on a really nice console here with a panoramic sunroof that opens and gives you a full glass surface as well. It's really very, very well equipped. Quite impressed with this, quite impressed. Right, I've got the car changed into the mountain drive mode because we're in the mountains, the car is pointing uphill, I'm holding it on the brakes, so its hill hold will keep that in position when I take my foot off the brake, and the mountain controls the drive mode, will stop any wheel spin that may accumulate from this gravel surface. So let's go. You can hear the system kicking in and stopping the wheels from spinning too much as we climb up that very steep slope. So it's acting kind of like a terrain response system, and that's pretty good for a car that doesn't have 4-wheel drive. Now we're going downhill, and this is equally impressive because the mountain system has kicked in the hill descent control function. And that means that we're now effectively doing the same as you would do in any commercial four-wheel drive. We've got a hill descent control function built in. So that's now holding the car back. It's determining what's happening in terms of the descent. And whilst I'm feathering the brakes slightly, what is happening is that the car is actually holding itself back. And that's pretty impressive, again, for a car that doesn't have four-wheel drive and at this price point. So although the car's not a four-wheel drive, doesn't have a transfer case or all-wheel drive capability, with the mountain system, it's kicking in a hill descent control and allowing only limited wheel spin where there's grip to be had. So it's actually quite an efficient car. And on that basis, you wouldn't need to have a four-wheel drive if you were buying this as a family car. Let's face it, most people are not going to be doing what we're doing now with their family car, although the car is perfectly capable of managing it. If there is a bugbear that sticks with me, it's sticking now, and that is that we negotiate the corner here, running through this bigger tunnel. I can feel the steering trying to fix itself all the time. There's just a very slight pulsing through the steering wheel. And although I haven't got the settings on for the lane keeping, I can still nevertheless feel a little bit of feedback between the right and left. Now I think that might become a problem for people travelling in the car, because there is the slightest of movement all the time. I don't think it's a big issue, but it's something that I can feel. Now it might just be this car, I don't know. It could be something else entirely. It might be uneven tyre pressures, although I doubt it. The car's just been picked up from the showroom, so it should be fine. But it's kind of a byproduct of electric power steering, because there isn't actually any contact between this device, which we still call a steering wheel, and those wheels down there, which are actually doing the work. Otherwise, pretty impressive. New Ford territory, what do we think? Well, I like it. I like it far more than I expected to. It's as honest a car as you're going to be able to buy these days. It's got loads of kit, and it does everything that it says on the box, and it does it all rather well. I think I would have one. And I shouldn't be surprised about this, is that the car is made in China.